So we finished up with part one with different closing techniques. Oftentimes, sales representatives, especially those that are a little bit anxious about closing the sale, use a closing worksheet. And they write down the different closing methods, and then they write down the different cues that the prospect or the buyer might give them, and then their closing statements. Sometimes that's helpful for a young sales rep when they're starting out because it allows them to rehearse and feel more comfortable about those closing statements. Again, and I've talked about this throughout the entire module, if we don't close, we'll never get the sale. So we talked about trial closing. Trial closing is attempt made at different opportune times and with multiple people during the sales presentation to reveal the readiness. Some people call it the minor point close. I call it the trial close. With this trial close, remember, we're going to be working on multiple people. The buyer might be the one that is the ultimate decision, but there's a lot of influencers and there's a lot of users out there. And as we're presenting to them, as we're building relationships with them, we should be trial closing throughout the entire time. The direct appeal close is just simply asking for the order. That's my favorite. That's what I use all the time. The worst they could say is no. So after you get through your presentation, after you get agreements, after you get nods, you simply say, would you like to buy it today? Or can we sign today? Or do you want to go for financing today? Or another one that I use is, if you order today, you can get it by next week. Can we close the sale today? All of those different things are what I call the direct appeal close. You're simply asking for the order. The worst they could say is no. Actually, if they say no, that's when the negotiation starts, and that's when it becomes more easy. You understand why they don't want to close the sale or why they don't want to buy today, and you can handle that as you move forward. Assumptive close is a minor decision close. They're assuming that the customer has already made the decision to buy. So would you like it on Wednesday or Thursday of next week? Or so are we going to finance it today or are you going to pay cash? Something like that. It's a take it for granted close. I don't like it as well. Some people like it because it's a little softer than the direct appeal close. It gives them something. So I can see that you already have, I've shown you, so we can get it to you next week. Multiple options close is kind of the same thing with the assumptions close. With the multiple options close, however, you can say, well, we can get it through financing, we can pay cash, you can get the blue one or the brown one, you can get it next week or the week before, I can hold the order for you for next month, etc. Again, it kind of runs into the same as the assumption close. You're assuming that they are going to buy, so you're giving them multiple buying options depending on the service, depending on the sale. The balance sheet close usually is a cost justification close. I usually will use not necessarily the balance sheet close, but I'll use a balance sheet to justify price, especially if the objection is your price is too high. If the objection is your price is too high, that's when you put a pencil and paper and you justify the cost. Some people call it a balance sheet close. I always summarize benefits before I close. It makes it a lot easier. We've agreed on this, we've agreed on that, we've agreed on this. Now it's time to place the order. I rarely ever close without summarizing the benefits. Again, if you do a great job of understanding the needs discovery, and if you do a good job of presenting to the needs discovery, then you've got the summary of benefits close. The special concessions close is usually when you're giving up something for the order today. If you do it today, we can give you 10% off. If you do it today, we can give you 90 days same as cash. If you do it today, then we can give it to you with free shipping, something like that. I don't like special concessions closes. I usually put the special concessions in the presentation, therefore it makes it easier to close. If you're comfortable with that, go ahead. Management close is I've already talked to your manager. He likes the idea, or she likes the idea, so let's close today. Impending event close is, generally speaking, it could be positive or negative. Impending event close is, you've got something coming up next week. It would be nice to have it by then. Or the other impending event close is, we're taking away the special financing next week. You want to buy it today. So when the buyer says yes, congratulations, you've closed the sale. Make sure the buyer feels comfortable about their decision. Tell the buyer that they've made a good decision, that they're not going to be sorry. Oftentimes, after they say yes, I'll again summarize the benefits so that they feel better about it. And I always thank the customer, and I always smile. Even if the customer says no, I'll smile. And sometimes I'll say, well, then we'll just part friends. And that's when the customer says no. Make sure the deal is really dead. Make sure that they're not going to buy. There's nothing else that you can do. Interview the client why the sale, you didn't make the sale, or why your competitor got it. Oftentimes, I love, if I didn't close the sale, to understand, why did my competitor get it? Was it a price thing? Was it something that we didn't have? Because oftentimes, you're going to go up against competition. If you understand why the buyer bought from your competition versus you, then it gives you more information on your competition. It gives you more ammunition for your next sales call. Always smile, even if the buyer says no, because you never know. That buyer might go to another company, and you might be selling a product to that company, and you're going to need that buyer on your side. I always try to part friends. So some questions for your review: the attitudes, the guidelines for closing the sale, recognizing closing cues. We've talked all about that. Please review these questions, and we can practice our close next week. Take care.